While the end goal might be the same, and that is weed suppression, there are many different approaches to go about this. I'm going to take you out in the field and show you exactly how some of these look so you can get a comparison and a feel for each of them so you can make the selection that is going to be a best fit for your operation.
All right, so here we're outdoors looking at weed suppression. As you can see in the foreground, definitely, I don't care what field you're growing in, there's going to be weed pressure. So how do you go about combating that? We see a couple setups here. We're going to take you around and show you a couple others as well. Now, what's right in front of me is this really reflective, especially on this sunny day, this silver mulch, as it's called. Now, a lot of people hear mulch, they think like garden mulch of like bark and things like that. No, this is a plastic material. And it's a very shiny plastic material that helps reflect the light, that can potentially suppress early insects, can also reflect that light to keep the soil a little bit cooler. Both advantages. Now, I remind growers that this is silver mulch or chrome mulch. Gray mulch is not the same. I've had some growers that I recommended silver mulch to. They got gray and it's not the same. You want this really highly reflectiveness. It's a little bit of a pain to put down, a little bit difficult. I recommend a cloudy day, and I still recommend wearing eye protection in the form of sunglasses because it is very bright. Other growers will typically use what's the more traditional black weed suppression, as we can see here. Now, while this black material will suppress weeds, timing can be very important. While the black is suppressing sunlight penetration, it's also allowing water to come through, which is great. The downfall in this situation is it probably was put down a little bit late. So your timing is very important. If you already have weeds established and then you cover them up, there's still a chance where they could stretch. And that's kind of what you're seeing here. So you're basically seeing this like elevated kind of portion here. Well, those weeds had a pretty good start and they're able to kind of fight through some of that shade, and it actually induces stretching. So you want to make sure that you're getting this down at appropriate time. Now, in the foreground there, where you're looking at all those weeds, yes, weed suppression may not be the best method to choose. It could still be utilized, but you want to knock that down mechanically first. And that could be with a mower, that could be with a weed whacker, or that could be even with the old traditional scythe, if you get good with it. You could basically knock those down. You want to leave them in place. So you want to knock them down and use the tall weeds that you have here as initial weed suppression. Then you could come back with maybe something more permanent for your walkways to help suppress that. Now, in our walkways, as we're going to see in a moment, we're going to see some different options. So don't think there's only one option for weed suppression. There's actually quite a few, but timing is very important, as we'll see in the next section. So let's go and take a look and see what we're looking at as far as additional weed suppression and other options that you have as growers. All right, so here we are along a caterpillar tunnel looking again at weed suppression, and we can see this was put down at a more ideal time. Why? Because it's not being lifted up. After you go through and you till and rotate the soil maybe, or you actually have a very small set of weeds, that's when you want to put down the weed fabric. Here we can see we're not 5 feet over from where the other weeds were, and you can see this is not being pushed up. As a result, this blocked those early weeds. They couldn't get a start, they couldn't get established, therefore we see good weed suppression. You can see the same thing here. We're bordering our silver mulch. We also see this other thinner type of plastic. Doesn't allow water to come through, which again, pros and cons to that. The advantage is if you're running drip irrigation under this, which we'll see in a moment, you're trapping that soil moisture. You're also suppressing weeds from coming through. And we see here our walkways, keeping our rows nice and clean, allowing water that comes off our caterpillar tunnel to easily drain into the soil, reducing flooding. You also see a little bit of a raised portion here. This is our traditional soil. You can see this is a raised bed as well, helping give the grower control over irrigation as well as suppression of weeds. One note that I will make with this, if you do have nut sedge as a problem, it can actually punch its way right through here, so be careful if you have that weed, but most of your other traditional weeds, it'll do a great job of suppressing those. All right, so here we are in a caterpillar tunnel looking at our in-row weed suppression. We saw the field, same things can be applied inside a caterpillar tunnel as well as a high tunnel. This is more of the traditional, thicker weed suppression material, typically called greenhouse flooring because it's meant to last many years. This is great for growers looking at trying to maintain consistent row lengths. You can see here that you can sometimes punch holes in it, but we see here that the growers decided to leave a little bit of a space, which is perfectly fine. You can do intercropping sometimes, but this allows water to go through. It's also a little bit heavier gauge, so as you're walking down the rows, it works out just fine. We want to be careful on the edges. As we can maybe see here a little bit, the edges might fray a little bit. Taking a blowtorch to that and basically burning that will singe the ends, and that will prevent this potentially from unraveling. Just a little grower's note there. It also works out really great for punching holes in there. Just take the blowtorch, have it marked out, burns a little hole, be quick with it, and it makes it really easy to go through and have those pre-marked out for growers. But again, we can see here just another form of weed suppression that was probably put down the same time the ground was prepped. That early prep is really important. I know everything's busy in that early part of the season, but the early you get your weed block down, even if you're not planting it right away, it'll really help the effectiveness, as we saw in comparison to what was just outside there. That timing was a little bit off. Timing is everything with farming. This is hopefully a little helpful hint to not only increase your suppression of weeds, make things a little bit easier, and hopefully make your gardening and growing experience a little bit better. All right, so here we are in a high tunnel, and of course, weed suppression is important in the field. It's also important in here. Remember, yes, you're not getting the natural rain, but you are growing in traditional soil. So how do you go about doing weed suppression? Everything I showed you outdoors can clearly be applied indoors as well. This growers decided to do something a little bit different. They've chosen to roll out plastic basically for the entirety of their tunnel. As we can see here, this plastic down here is basically covering everything continuously. There are no, quote, rows. They decided to cut little holes in that plastic, little X's, to put their plant in, and basically seals everything up. This is a great option if you're looking at not wanting any sort of edge or border row weeds to worry about. This is great if you're looking at just basically sealing the whole thing. Great option if you have this material and it matches the size of your structure, because now you basically cover the entire floor with something. You measure out, keep your rows nice and straight. We can see here our plant spacing going right down. Really a great way to suppress the weeds, hold in the moisture, and ensure you don't have any flaps or edges that could catch and could potentially lift up and could be areas where weeds could come in. So again, just many options here, but something you should be considering because early in the season, it might seem everything's going well and good. Very busy time of year, of course. As you get to this point in the season, weeds can really get out of control, and early planting that you do can really help reduce the labor and work that you have to do this time of year when it's very warm and you should be focusing on harvesting your crop.